Wow. So you were in the room with them?
Oh, yeah. We assisted the Secret Service on getting the president to Air Force One.
What's up, Jack?
Hey, Max.
Episode 1, 2, 3, 4. 4. Yep. We're not very consistent at this. But you got to wait for great things, Rome wasn't built in a day, and you don't get the podcast every week because it'd just be too much good.
Yeah. We just can't help the fans out that much.
Right. So a couple things to address before we kick this one off. The sign is now glowing, finally.
Was it not glowing last episode?
No, we couldn't figure it out for the Mr. D episode.
Oh, you're right. Yeah.
Tough one. Also, sponsor back there. Been the sponsor the whole time for this. Now we have an official sign. So, as you can see, the set is for sale. Call that number right there. Thank you, Becky Simmons and the Simmons Group with Keller Williams Real Estate for
your mother.
Sponsor. Yeah, my mom. Thanks, Mom. But without further ado, we have a guest that, you guys don't really know. We don't really know him. But that's what he's here today for. So, S.R.O. Starowesky.
Afternoon, gentlemen.
How you doing?
Oh, good. How are you doing?
On. I'll take the stand. Oh, yeah. Sorry, got a bunch of cords up under there.
Cords everywhere.
Yeah.
All right.
It's all right. Okay. We're good.
There we go.
All right.
All situated
all settled in. All right. How you doing?
Good. How are you, gentlemen?
Pretty good.
Not bad at all.
So how long have you been at White County High School officially so far?
Officially, I started 3 weeks ago.
Okay. Yeah, I think we caught you, your second day?
Second day. Yeah, second day here.
Yeah. And listen, as soon as we talked to him for 10 minutes, we were like, we have to get him on the podcast because just a couple little tidbits. We won't spoil anything yet, but I guess we'll let you take it away. Kind of, where'd you grow up? Where'd you go to school? You have a lot of years. Not calling you old or anything, but a lot of years to bring you here. So
a lot of years. I'm from Florida, from Manatee County, Florida.
Mm-hmm.
Went to Manatee High School. I graduated from Manatee High School with and went to the University of Florida.
Mm-hmm.
I had a full football scholarship at the University of Florida, where I blocked for Dallas Cowboys Emmitt Smith. After graduating from the University of Florida, I then went into the police academy and started my law enforcement career.
Okay, so going back to your college days playing football, while you were blocking, did you know you wanted to be a cop once you graduated, or how did that come along?
I always knew I wanted to be in law enforcement.
Mm-hmm.
I was actually hoping that I was going to go on and play in the NFL.
Yeah.
But I had a knee injury the last game of my senior year, which ended my run at it.
Dang. Or was it just ACL, MCL type?
ACL on the AstroTurf. We used to have AstroTurf.
Yeah.
Tore my leg all up.
Yeah, people still hate turf.
Yes, it's horrible.
Yeah.
It's like rolling around on this concrete floor with an indoor-outdoor carpet. That's what it is.
Well, also kind of looking back at your playing days in Florida, is there any moments that stand out in your career that you can always remember?
Well, we played all over the country. The biggest game that I feel we ever played was when we played Georgia. Georgia was always our worst game, our biggest enemy, and neither team will go to the other team's field. Mm-hmm. It's always played in Jacksonville. It's called the world's largest cocktail party. It is amazing, but it's the only stadium that during every game it's 50-50. There's never really a home field advantage. Mm-hmm. You might be wearing the home colors, but every section it'll be a section of Georgia, section of Florida, section of Georgia, all the way around the stadium.
Yeah, well, I can only imagine now you're a lifelong Gators fan.
Well, since I played for them, yes, I have to be. I always root for Tennessee when they're not playing Florida.
Yeah, well, then you were pretty happy this year.
Yeah, but I mean, it's I'm here in Tennessee. I like the Vols. I'm just when they play Florida, I can't root for them.
Listen, that's it, if there's any excuse to root for a team, it's because you played for it.
Yes.
You can't really be considered a bandwagon.
No, I'm not a bandwagon fan.
No.
People always give me a lot of grief, and I'll say to them, how many downs did you play? Okay, if you never stepped out on the field, you don't have any right to tell me.
It's hard to argue with a former player.
What I can and can't say. Now, if you want to bust my chops and you played 3 or 4 years at Alabama or Georgia or Tennessee, and we want to go back and forth, that's fine. But for the fair weather fan that has never played the game, you don't have the right to tell me good or bad.
Well, do you ever have any, just crazy hits? You ever get hit or hit somebody and you're like, oh.
Oh yeah, well, the biggest thing with in college compared to high school, college moves a lot faster. Problem is you don't see anybody coming. Okay,
Yep.
So and the biggest thing you have to worry about in college is don't stand around the pile.
Yep.
Because somebody will come and knock your block off, and you're next thing you know, you're sitting on the sideline with a bloody nose or something else because they almost knocked you out.
Yeah. Oh, well, better you than me, I guess.
But it paid for my education.
Yeah, that's fair. What did you study in school?
I got a business degree, and I also got a minor in criminal justice.
Oh, nice.
So when you began your career in law enforcement, did you start as an S.R.O. officer at a school?
No, I went to academy, started as patrol officer.
Okay.
I did patrol for 2 years, then I went to a unit called the Crime Suppression Unit, where I worked rapes, robberies, and homicides. I did that for almost 5 years, and then I became an S.R.O.
Okay.
I felt that instead of putting kids in body bags, I was going to try to keep them from getting put into a body bag.
That's
Right.
fair.
Because we worked vehicular homicides, DUI, and you really got old going and telling the parents that, their kid is dead.
I'd say. Well, did you ever? So how long were you in S.R.O. in Florida?
19 years.
19 years.
Yep.
Well, I'm sure you have a couple of crazy stories. Did any stand out to you? Any moments or?
Oh, there's always lots of crazy things that happen with children.
Right. We know.
We had a couple of big fights.
Yep.
Lots of people in a cafeteria a couple of times, but the thing I've noticed a lot about the kids here versus the kids in Florida is everybody here is fairly respectable. Okay, yes sir, no sir, very very respectful because you've been raised right. Right in Florida, it's a lot of the cussing at you and middle finger gestures and not really wanting to listen.
Yeah.
Here everybody listens. It's a beautiful place, a beautiful school. You guys have great athletic programs. You offer all sorts of different sports. We didn't have a lot of these. We had tennis, but we didn't have some of these other sports that you guys have, mainly football, baseball, basketball, volleyball, softball. But it's got a lot of history here, which is good, and it's really a nice school. I really like it.
Are you gonna step on the coaching staff here in White County?
You
might be one of the most credentialed.
If they want me to coach, I'll be more than happy to.
That's cool. Hey, I hope Beatty's watching. You might be sleeping on a gold mine right here.
Yeah, possibly the most experienced, probably staff member ever to step onto a
White County coaching staff for sure. Yeah, that's crazy. So I guess before you became an S.R.O. was when you were really in the nitty gritty police work. So are there any standout moments from that?
We worked. A lot of things because they're homicides I can't talk about. Just because of there's still appeals, there's still things that we can't discuss. We did interesting. Do you guys know where President Bush was on 9/11?
Yeah, in the
elementary
elementary school.
right?
Yeah.
Yes, you know where that elementary school is?
No.
That elementary school is in Sarasota, Florida, where I was a SRO, and President Bush was at Emma E. Booker Elementary School reading to the kids when the first plane hit the World Trade Center. We were all standing in the room when he got notified, and then
so you were in the room with him?
Oh yeah, we assisted the Secret Service on getting the president to Air Force One.
Wow.
So it was interesting. That's probably the most interesting thing we did. I got plenty of homicides, but we really can't discuss them because they're still, as long as there's appeals, as long as there's stuff going on, you can't discuss it.
Right. Maybe some of them will make it to like ID discovery or something.
Well, there have been the Sheila Bellish murder is on there, but it still can be appealed. So there's also Carly Bruscia, who was a little girl that was kidnapped behind a car wash, who was killed. And worked many of those, but like I said, we can't discuss those type of things.
Right.
Worked lots of armed robberies, bank robberies, Walgreens, tons of armed robberies, rapes. Most of the rape cases were handled by what we call CSU detectives. Even though we worked and helped them, assisted them, they handled most of the rape cases. Because you got to do, there's all sorts of forensics and stuff you got to do that's not what I did.
Right, and obviously crime happens everywhere, but just from what you kind of catch on the news, it seems a lot more frequent in places like Florida. Is that like, is it more like extreme there, or is it like?
I guess there's more people, maybe.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot more people in the state of Florida.
Yep.
Two, you have. Large immigration population. I mean, people coming from all over the world and all over the country. So we do get a lot of Hispanic gangs. Norte 14, Sur 13, MS 13. So you got a lot of gangs you got to deal with. I know they have gangs here. Your larger cities. I'm sure Memphis, Nashville, Knoxville, Chattanooga have gang problems.
Yep.
Have I seen a gang problem in White County? Not yet. I've seen some people. I've seen some people dressed like they think they're gangsters, but not actual gangsters.
So even in the school system, then in Florida, you would.
We have to deal with a lot of gangs, but those are real gangs.
Yeah.
I mean, we'd have the 27th Street Cross Tracks boys. They called themselves a gang. They weren't really a gang.
Yeah.
They're not nationally affiliated or have a, but they wanted to be a street gang, but they, 25 people, it really wasn't.
So are there criteria to like be an official gang? Like what classifies a gang, I guess?
Well, more than three people in ideology, but I mean, would you consider them a criminal organization? You can consider them a gang.
Right.
But a criminal organization such as, the Bloods, the Crips,
I get what you're saying.
Hell's Angels, those are criminal organizations. They have hierarchy, they have leadership, they move, and they have criminal enterprises, which the 27th Street Crosstrack boys, all they did was steal bicycles. So I mean,
that's pretty intense.
It wasn't like they were stealing cars or
Well, you've been able to sit down and tell your stories to. I mean, I know a lot of. I guess you're obviously working with the White County Sheriff Department, and have you met a lot of those guys over there?
Oh yeah. But as everybody says, nobody wants to hear how you did it in Florida. So I just keep it to myself. If they ask me, like you guys, I'll tell you. But I don't, everybody has their way of doing things. It's always different.
I'm always just fascinated at the stories in Florida because, stuff like that happens in Tennessee, but it's never it's not as frequent. So
yeah, I guess there's a reason there's that joke that's like Florida man, the headlines.
Well, yeah, listen. We got so many people that do stupid things in Florida. I can give you a prime example. Right before I retired from there, we had a gentleman. Now, you don't swim in anything in Florida that you can't see the bottom.
Yep.
Okay, because the number of alligators, sharks, and all the other creatures that are in there, you don't want to do it. We had a gentleman on the Myakka River, which the water is like a murky brown. because it's where it's meeting the Gulf of Mexico, and it's murky. He was looking for fossils, looking for shark's teeth. Well, a 9.5-foot alligator grabbed him by the top of the head, and when we finally got to him, he lived. When we finally got to him, you could actually take the skull cap and pull it back, and you could see his brain. He actually lived. You can Google that on and it'll show you. He was transported to Tampa Memorial Hospital, and he actually lived. But there's thousands of alligators.
Yep.
Yeah.
So you can't really swim anywhere. It's not like going down to your local lake and jumping in.
Yeah.
You jump in down there, you might not come back out.
Right. Oh. Man.
So, and then the sharks and crocodiles. We have saltwater crocodiles in the Everglades. So a lot of really dangerous things. And then the snakes, the pythons and the boa constrictors that have been released into the Everglades.
Yeah, I think the craziest thing you might catch here is a snake or a snapping turtle, I guess. But yeah, nothing really compares.
Yeah, you haven't seen something. You've seen a 10-foot alligator moving at top speed. I'm telling you.
Forget that. I was at a golf course one time in southern South Carolina.
They have alligators there.
Yeah, that's the only alligator I've ever seen, and they evacuated the whole golf course because it was in one of the ponds.
Well, they have a place in Mayaca. That same Mayaca River runs through Mayaca State Park in Sarasota, and there's a place called the Deep Hole, and they think it was a sinkhole that had filled back in with water, and there's anywhere from 500 to 700 alligators there at any given time. You just pull it up on your phone. You can see it. It's huge, and it's got lots of alligators and lots of scary things you don't want to swim in. So if you go to Florida to visit, be very careful what you swim in.
Yeah, no, I think the day alligators make their way here is the day I move further north.
Alligators won't survive here. It's cold-blooded. If they freeze, if he freezes here, the alligators would die.
So when did you actually move to Tennessee?
I retired April of 2022, and we moved May of 2022. We already had a house. We've had a house here for 10, 12 years.
Okay. So, well, I was going to say, how you liking the weather difference since you mentioned it,
I actually I do like the cold. It never gets cold in Florida. It's at Christmas time it's 90 degrees.
Yeah.
85 degrees. So if you like warm weather, then that's good, but it doesn't seem like Christmas.
Right.
Don't have to worry about hurricanes here. I mean, I do know we get some tornadoes and we get straight line wind damage, but if you haven't been through a Category 4 or 5 hurricane, you won't believe what happens. So I worked somewhere around 22 hurricanes through my career, all the way from Andrew to Katrina. Went to New Orleans and worked in Katrina, and it's not fun.
Yeah, I'd say that's terrible.
Yeah, and it's cheaper to live here. It's cheap. Homeowners insurance for hurricanes is about $1,000 a month. That's not your house payment. That's just your insurance payment.
That's crazy. Well, I mean, I guess we have tornadoes, but a few years ago, one hit Cookeville, and that was pretty bad. That's really the worst one. Well,
we just had one hit Cookeville and went through Fall Creek Falls, right?
Yeah.
That was like last year?
Yep. Yeah, I think
that's a lot of damage.
Yeah, it was almost the 1-year anniversary from the one before that. That was before you came here, but that was
the president came down.
Yeah,
at the time, right?
Trump came down and talked to the community. But that's probably the worst natural disaster that's happened here in the last maybe my parents' lifetime.
Yeah.
Well, I do have to say when we pulled security when President Trump would come to Sarasota to speak at Robarts Arena, he would make it a point to shake every officer's hand.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's what I did like about him.
Yep.
You really couldn't talk to him very long, but I mean, he'd at least shake your hand and acknowledge you. Yep. He was a really good guy.
Dang. So how many presidents have you interacted with?
In Sarasota, we dealt with Michelle Obama had come to Sarasota for a fundraiser. Not President Obama didn't, but the Bushes and President Trump.
Wow. Well, that's 4 more than me plus the first lady.
Well, yeah, she was here for a fundraiser. We didn't. I mean, we saw her drive by. She didn't talk to any of us.
That's still cool though.
Yeah.
Should have shouted something about the school lunch. Tired of these corn dogs.
Yeah, I don't know. That's kind of ruined school. I don't know how the school lunches, they look good here compared to Florida.
Oh.
Everything there is packaged.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's no,
Yeah.
but they don't cook anything anymore. It's all heated.
Yeah. Well, I
Maybe
did
they
it.
don't have it that bad then, I guess.
No, it's not as bad.
I
I'm
was
telling you,
gonna
it's
say,
not as
I
bad.
interviewed a lot of the lunch ladies, just making a little short film about them, and they said like they go above and beyond around here, and you can really see it. And just the stuff they're given compared to what they can make and like serve
Yeah.
to you, it is like way above anywhere else. Yeah, and those Ranger cookies,
Oh.
those are
I haven't had those yet. I
Oh,
haven't had
man.
the chance to
Gotta
get.
try it.
I haven't had the chance to get in there and have those yet.
Those are good. So, what are some of the, I mean, other than the obvious, the biggest differences between not only the school systems, but maybe the sheriff's department or just law enforcement as a whole, Florida and here?
Well, the differences in size of sheriff's offices is there's roughly 50 deputies here.
Mm-hmm.
There's 1,000 where I came from.
So,
So-
is it a closer community then? Like, do you kind of know everybody in both places? Or
Oh
more
no,
so
there's too
here?
many. There's too many people.
Yeah.
There's too. I mean, we have 5 high schools.
Mm-hmm.
There's 43, 44 now, 44 schools in Sarasota County.
Mm-hmm.
Middle school, high school, and elementary school.
Wow.
So, where a patrol division will have any given day 70 people working,
Mm-hmm.
there's 5 or 6 working patrol here.
Mm-hmm.
So there's the difference in size. It's different size of schools. 3,000, 3,500, 4,000 students versus 1,000 students.
Yep.
So, but it's a smaller area. It's not.
Right.
It's in. And I like this area better because I didn't know everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and you get to know these kids, and you guys are our kids. We're responsible for you from the time you get here to the time you leave. So I consider all of you to be my kids, and we're here to make sure you're safe. That's the main thing. Well, in the school of 4,000, I can't meet every kid.
Right.
Okay, I can't meet, so I stop you guys. Hey, how you doing? Find out who you are and what's going on and what sports you're into and the stuff you do. I'm interested. I want you guys to realize that, we're human beings too.
Mm-hmm.
We're people that come to work and do our job and go home. But I want you to also say, hey, that's Coach, or that's Deputy Starowesky. He's here. We want you to see us in a different light than just the guy that pulls you over and gives you a speeding ticket.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Because you guys get a real negative view, and he's doing his job. I'm not saying that he's not. He's doing his job, but your interactions are very short, and you don't get to know the person.
Yep.
You just get to see he's doing his job, and I'm getting punished, and I don't like it.
Yeah, that is fair. So, you must really love this job because, like you kind of touched on a little bit earlier, but I'm gonna have you elaborate. You came out of retirement to come up here and take this job, just go right back into being an SRO.
Yeah, I retired, and I, was at the house when the Nashville shooting occurred.
Yep.
Okay, really bothered me. Really bothered me that you guys needed more protection.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and I challenged other SROs and other guys that I know that are retired law enforcement, and they're actually going to different cities and different counties now working. I got 3 or 4 guys that I know that are now. We all went back. You know why? Because we want to see you be successful. We want to see you graduate. We want to see it, and we want to make sure that you get there and you get that opportunity. Those 6 people in Nashville are never going to get that opportunity.
Right.
Okay, they did not have an SRO. All right, so the job came open. I said, well, you know what? I'm just going to come out of retirement, go back, and guard the kids, because it's what we need to do.
Yeah, that
We
is
need, to, we
incredible.
need to make sure you're safe, and that's my number one job coming here every day. That's why you see me driving around. I'm looking for people that aren't supposed to be here, people that are supposed to be here, whatever. But my job is to make sure you go home.
Right. Well, we couldn't do it without you. I mean, it's your job is one that obviously everybody hopes we never need, but when it comes down to it, it's the one that is the most necessary. In that situation.
Well, just look at the time frame, okay? it was, I think, 2 to 3 minutes before the first officers arrived in Nashville.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, how many times can you pull a trigger for 2 minutes?
A lot.
How many rounds?
A lot.
A lot. Okay, here we can stop that hopefully before it ever even got started.
Right.
That's why we're here. We're here to make your life. We want you to be safe. Once you have a good time, I want you guys to, you only get to go high school once.
Mm-hmm.
Enjoy it, but do the right thing and become productive members of society. That's what I hope for.
Well, I guess finally, can you just kind of describe your job here, like when you got hired, what they told you you're going to do, what you have done so far in your first couple weeks?
Well, it's the same thing I've been doing since I got here. I've been evaluating, looking at weaknesses, how we can strengthen things, how we can make things better. I know the job. 19 years of being a school resource officer. I know what I'm doing when it comes to being a school cop.
Right.
We want to build relationships. We want to build, trust with you guys. So, if anything were to happen or you think somebody's going to do something, that you'd come to us and say, hey, I don't know, Deputy, this guy, he's acting strange. Tell us what's going on so we can help somebody. We'd rather stop an incident and help somebody get the help they need, either mentally or whatever, to move on without getting to a situation where we have a problem.
Absolutely. And then I guess your kind of home base is this building, the CT Academy?
The whole place is my base. My office is in the Career Academy.
Yeah.
So if you need me, I'm over there, or they can call me on my cell phone wherever. But I'm here. I'm usually in this building and the Career Center, but I also go through the main building during the day.
All right. Well, I think that camera's about to cut off. So, without further ado, thank you so much.
You're welcome, gentlemen.
School Resource Officer Deputy Starowesky.
Yep, that works.
All right, well, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
It was a
thank
pleasure
you.
having you on.
Great being on, guys.
Yeah. Thank you guys for watching.